The valley stretches on for miles, a dramatic world of canyons, plains, river basins, and forests as far as the eye can see. We're in Argentina, in what is now the province of Neuquen, on the western border of Chile. Large herds of large animals occupy the waterways and sandstone chasms of the Huincul Formation, a Late Cretaceous locale of around 95 million years ago. As we travel at ground level, the ecosystem becomes more visibly intricate, complete with basking crocodilians and turtles piled up along the water's edge. A nearby sandstone canyon demonstrates one of the more awe-inspiring landscapes of the Huincul Formation. Towering walls line up to the left and right of where we stand. Trees sway in the flow of air, speeding through the canyon wall, and the hot sun beats down on the dry rock. A small reptile suns itself on a nearby rock, seemingly oblivious to the fact it rests in the center of the approach of one of the most spectacular sights in all of natural history. Through the blustering wind, another noise can be picked up. Long, deep grunts and bellows from round the corner of rock faces. These noises are loud and imposing, to the point where you can feel them resonating through your body. A herd of giants is approaching. As the sound culminates into a cacophony, you can see the first of the dinosaurs rear its head round the corner of the canyon wall. The head at first looks obscenely small, atop the lumbering beam-like neck, the likes of which simply do not exist in modern nature. As the dinosaur turns the corner, you can see the true gravity of this animal. A colossal, bulky body blocks out the wall of the canyon in the background, as a long, tapering tail gives way to more heads and more necks. The grunting and booming of footsteps is overpowering, as a huge herd of Argentinosaurus reveals itself to this is one of the largest animals to ever walk the earth. A true titan in a diverse land of other massive creatures. Did you know that there have been fish of some kind ever since the time that dinosaurs roamed the earth? While dinosaurs died out, fish have lived on and evolved, although some haven't changed all that much if we look at the hagfish. If you're interested in seeing what ancient fish might have looked like, or even want to challenge yourself to catch one, then you might like Fishing Clash, today's sponsor. It's one of the most relaxing, yet competitive games out there, with hours of play available. There's even a prehistoric location you can visit and see if you can catch your own prehistoric fish. But first, you need to play the game to unlock this special location. Luckily, Fishing Clash's realistic graphics don't need to show you hagfish in all their gruesome glory. But you can travel to different fishing locations all around the world, upgrading your skills by taking part in weekly competitions and upgrading all your equipment to catch the biggest fish. You always want to be ahead of the shoal when starting a new game, so I'd recommend focusing on your lures. The level of bait will change what you can catch, and power-ups can come in very useful too. Fishing Clash are offering you a welcome bonus when you sign up for free using my link, or by scanning the QR code you can see on the screen. You can also use my give code, Megalodon, to get a $20 value reward absolutely free. The bonus gives you a unique avatar, a mythical lure card, 50 luck power-ups, and 30 weight power-ups that will help you catch your white whale. Getting your bonus is easy. All you need to do is download the game using my link. Going to the menu in the top right corner of the screen, selecting the gift code button, and then putting your unique code in. The first remains attributed to Argentinosaurus huinculensis, a gigantic long-necked sauropod dinosaur of the South American Late Cretaceous, were discovered by Guillermo Heredia in 1987, when he happened across a gigantic calf bone on his farm in Neuquen province, Argentina. So massive was this fibula that when he discovered it, Heredia didn't even consider it to be a bone, presuming instead that it was a huge, petrified tree trunk. Contacting the local museum to inform them of his discovery, he couldn't have imagined at that point that what he found was actually a bone from a long-lost species of Titanosaur, one of the largest ever to exist on Earth. The calf bone found its way to the Museo Carmen Funes expedition room and was excavated and studied by staff. Subsequent studies revealed the true nature of the bone, and a spectacular paleontological rabbit hole was started. Famed and accomplished Argentine paleontologist Jose F. Bonaparte was the next to get involved, when in 1989 he led an excavation around the area of Guillermo Heredia's farm. Close to where the calf bone was revealed 2 years prior, Bonaparte and his team were able to dig up several vertebrae bones, which plainly belonged to the same gigantic creature. Later that year, Jose F. Bonaparte presented his finds to the paleontological community as a new species of huge titanosaur from the Late Cretaceous. But the dinosaur was not named and described until 1993. The find was given the name Argentinosaurus huinculensis, or Argentine lizard from Huincul in English, referring to the country and town in which the animal was revealed. Since Heredia's and Bonaparte's initial discoveries, more Argentinosaurus huinculensis fossils have been retrieved from the subsequently named Huincul Fossil Formation, but no complete specimen is known as of yet. In 1996, Bonaparte uncovered a femur bone from the same region, and subsequent excavations from nearby locales have proved fruitful for additional femur bone finds. Today, several of these finds can be observed in museums around Argentina. The first thing we need to cover about Argentinosaurus is its sheer size. Due to the fact that many of the largest sauropods are known from mostly incomplete skeletons, it is difficult to say just which of these titans can be named the largest land animal ever to live. But for a long while, Argentinosaurus was a strong contender. While it may have been dethroned by giants such as Dreadnoughtus and Parala Titan, our Argentine lizard was still a considerable size, and by far the most famous gigantic titanosaur dinosaur. However, just how big was it? To answer this question, we have to look at other sauropods. Paleontologists have used other sauropod remains to make estimates of the sizes of the very biggest ones. To do this, they must look at the most complete sauropod specimens, with a view of scaling up the proportions and sizes of mutually known bones to the dinosaurs they wish to know the size of. which would give an indication of what a complete specimen might look like. With Argentinosaurus, size estimates still range by a few meters. The first size estimate came in 1994, just after the initial discovery, when paleontologist Gregory Paul proposed an initial estimate of somewhere between 30 and 35 meters in length from nose to tail. These were the sizes that were initially published. However, when scientists started using other sauropod dinosaurs to estimate a more reliable size, things were narrowed down. Kenneth Carpenter used Saltosaurus remains in 2006 to estimate a specific 30 meters in length. Fudalongosaurus was studied by Jorge Calvo in 2008 to produce 33 meters or less. This rose to a colossal 39 meters in 2013 with studies from William Sellers, and ultimately reduced back down to a relatively small 27 meters or less when Scott Hartman compared the remains with Puertosaurus later that year. As it stands, the most recent estimate comes once again from Gregory Paul, who has upped the dinosaur's length back to 35 meters long. Whatever the case might be, Argentinosaurus was longer than the largest animal alive today, the blue whale. While it wasn't as massive, this should give you something of an estimate of just how big these gigantic dinosaurs were. The same thing has been done to estimate the dinosaur's weight. This has also fluctuated over the years, from Gregory Paul's initial 80 to 120 tons in 1994 to a modern 2020 take from Nicholas E. Campione and David C. Evans, which puts Argentinosaurus at roughly 75 tons in total. For perspective, the average fully grown Argentinosaurus would weigh more than 6 London double-decker buses. The dinosaur's proportions were truly spectacular. Bearing in mind that these are estimations based on paleontological work involving closely related dinosaurs, scientists have been able to discern that an adult Argentinosaurus's neck and head would have been roughly 13 meters in length on their own. A massive body would have followed, approximately 6 meters deep by 9 meters long. The tail would have tapered out for the rest of the animal's length, for roughly 14 to 15 meters. The body was supported by 4 massive pillar-like limbs, each of which measured about 5 or 6 meters in length. For comparison, the average fully grown human being measures just less than 2 meters in height. In taxonomic terms, the dinosaur has been placed in numerous clades over the years, and its place in the sauropod ancestral tree has been debated over time. Originally placed in the Titanosauridae family, subsequent studies on the form of the dinosaur have seen it removed and shifted about multiple times. Some studies indicate that Argentinosaurus is a basal titanosaur, one from which other titanosaurs later evolved. 2018 studies from Gonzalez Riga and colleagues placed the giant sauropod within the clade Lithostrodia, and within that sat the lower level of classification Lonkosauria, where Argentinosaurus is commonly referred to be placed. In 2019, however, Riga's team placed Argentinosaurus in a new clade, with members of the clade Huincul and Titanosauria. This new clade was named Colossosauria, and contains some of the largest animals ever to walk the earth. Nothing quite like a sauropod exists on planet Earth today. The largest land animals known to us are elephants and giraffes, but neither of these large mammals meet the sizes of even many small sauropods. How did dinosaurs such as Argentinosaurus manage to support their massive bulk? How was such an animal physically possible? It turns out, these giant reptiles were extremely efficient biological engines, perfectly adapted living colossi that were more than capable of supporting their weights and taking care of themselves. Using their seemingly obscenely long necks, sauropods such as Argentinosaurus were capable of reaching vegetation unavailable to other groups of animals. The tops of trees were favored, high-growing plant matter suitable to their bodies and digestive systems. The long necks allowed the dinosaurs to save a lot of energy when feeding, as the food was plentiful and readily accessible. Their teeth were formed in such a way that they allowed the dinosaur to forego chewing entirely. Many little peg-like teeth filled these dinosaurs' mouths, designed more for stripping vegetation from branches and pulling it into their mouth than mashing it up. This too saved valuable energy that could have been better spent elsewhere. They also managed to keep food in their digestive tracts for large amounts of time, extracting as many nutrients from the plant matter as possible while carrying it in the gut. Like all dinosaurs, Argentinosaurus was an egg layer and did not need to give birth to live young. This was another key energy saver, as these dinosaurs didn't need to carry around a huge unborn fetus in their wombs when pregnant. Instead, large sauropods such as Argentinosaurus carried relatively small eggs around, laying them in one clutch in a nest. When the baby Argentinosauruses emerged from their eggs when hatching, they were about 1 meter long at most. Baby sauropods, from hatching to maturity, increased their size by a higher degree than any other known animal over the course of their lives, have proven that it would not have been able to move particularly fast. Paleontologists have estimated a top speed in adult Argentinosauruses of about 5 miles per hour, or just over 7 kilometers per hour. Still, this was absolutely fine on the dinosaur's part. Its gigantic size meant that it didn't really need to move fast. Very few predators could harm something as large as a fully grown Argentinosaurus. The Huincul Fossil Formation, in which the first Argentinosaurus fossils were found, contains rocks and specimens from the Late Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic, estimated to be in existence from between 97 to 93 million years ago. Although geologists call it the Late Cretaceous, the dinosaurs represented at Huincul were all long extinct by the time the end Cretaceous extinction event put all of the non-avian dinosaurs in the ground. The Huincul Formation represents times in the Cretaceous known as the Cenomanian and Turonian stages, the two earliest stages of the Late Cretaceous. Dinosaurs at the time were branching out into all sorts of bizarre and unfamiliar forms, and basal Titanosaurs, such as Argentinosaurus, were cropping up all over the continent. The environments associated with the Huincul Formation vary, but the most prominent feature of the locale was a huge river drainage basin cutting through the dramatic landscape. Braided river channels were commonplace, consisting of various rivers and tributaries weaving in and out of one another. Along with these environments would have laid huge swaths of marshland and mudflats. On the outskirts of the rivers were a wide variety of plant species. Coniferous forests harbored a huge variety of animal species, and large numbers of fossilized pollen are present in sandstone rocks, indicating a large diversity of plant life. Known from the Huincul Formation are huge numbers of gymnosperm and angiosperm plants, as well as ferns, liverworts, neophytes, and hornworts. Rocky areas are indicated by sandstones, both yellowish and green in color. All of these environments would have harbored massively rich biotas, and a large number of animal species would have been present in each. We do not know all the ins and outs of the species present at the time Argentinosaurus was roaming the land, but subsequent fossil discoveries in the region have shown us that this land was one roamed by other giants. Argentinosaurus was not the only lumbering colossus present at this time and place in natural history. Choconsaurus roamed the wilds of the Huincul Formation alongside the mighty Argentinosaurus, another species of Titanosaur and a relatively close relation. These sauropods were significantly smaller than their contemporaries, but still measured a whopping 21 meters in length from nose to tail. This dinosaur is known from a few partial skeletons, including neck, tail, and back vertebrae, as well as parts of the limbs. Of all the basal titanosaurs, Choconsaurus is the most well-known to science. Several species of Rabacosaurid sauropod, dinosaurs more closely related to creatures such as Africa's Nigersaurus, who we have already covered on this channel, were present here too. Cathartosaura and Limasaurus, two other giant sauropods, unrelated to titanosaurs but still from the wider sauropod group, could be found here. But none would have been able to match up to the massive sizes of Argentinosaurus. In a world of massive herbivores, massive predatory theropods evolved to exploit this new and growing food source. These predators could be found in the Carcharodontosaurid theropods, or shark-tooth lizards, named for their powerful and sharp dentition. One of the largest of these dinosaurs, and one of the only ones capable of hunting an Argentinosaurus, was Mapusaurus, one of the largest theropods ever to live. Estimated to reach a maximum length of around 12 meters from nose to tail. These colossal bipedal predators possessed long, deep skulls, armed with rows of knife-like teeth, perfect for slashing through skin and flesh. Bones of Mapusaurus individuals have been discovered in groups, indicating a possible social or pack-hunting lifestyle. However, numerous carcasses of other animals from the same age have been discovered in the same locations, indicating that possibly Mapusaurus groups became attracted by prey in a kind of biological trap. Perhaps some sort of naturally occurring quicksand, swamp, or lake, which ensnared the dinosaurs, killing both predator and prey. Just as Argentinosaurus was by far the largest sauropod native to the region, Mapusaurus was the largest of the theropods. It is unknown if anything was large enough to bring down an adult Argentinosaurus, but if anything was, it was a potential hunting pack of Mapusaurus. Abelisaurids and Noasaurids were also found in the lands composing the Huincul Fossil Formation. Smaller, more lithe theropods that would have specialized in hunting creatures that lived in the shadows of giants. Abelisaurids Scorpiovenador, Ilocalesia, and Trochosaurus lived alongside the much smaller Noasaurid Huinculsaurus in the region, each of which would have been specialized to targeting specific types of prey. Between the thundering footsteps of the gigantic sauropods may have weaved even smaller theropods, such as the Paravian Oviroraptor, similar in form and size to some species of Asian and North American dromaeosaurs. Aside from the dinosaurian fauna of the Huincul Fossil Formation, a huge number of vertebrate specimens have been unearthed, from a variety of animal classes. In fact, the Huincul Formation represents one of the most expansive and diverse vertebrate faunas in South America, and many of these findings have helped shape our understanding of this bygone landscape. Large numbers of freshwater fish were present here, indicating that a large part of the environment consisted of a huge river. Some of the fish found here have living representatives, alive in rivers and lakes across the Americas today. Swimming in the braided river systems of Huincul, and possibly preyed upon by larger theropods and crocodilians, were relatives of modern-day lungfishes and gars. Crocodilians and turtles were also plentiful here. Ubiquitous across river systems throughout the Cretaceous, a number of different species have been unearthed at Huincul too. On top of this, the region is known for several sphenodont specimens, a group of reptiles with one living relative, the Tuatara, extant in the modern day, as well as many lizards and snakes. It was a diverse world of gigantic animals, one that is seemingly ever growing more and more intricate as our understanding of these fossils and animals grow. Some of the largest animals ever to live on our planet were Titanosaurs. And while Argentinosaurus represents a basal example of one, the Titanosaurs continued to evolve and diversify throughout the remnants of the Late Cretaceous period. By the time the Cretaceous period was drawing to a close with the Maastrichtian stage, the Titanosaurs had conquered Asia with some of the most majestic and awe-inspiring animals ever to live on Earth. The 12-meter-long Namegdosaurus roamed the sandy plains of the Namegd Formation in Mongolia, towering over every other vertebrate in the region. Around the same time, and not too far away, lived Opisthocoelicaudia, and conquering the strange tropical forest of China was Zhucheng Titan, a 15-meter colossus that would have lumbered through the trees amidst a fluttering cavalcade of bizarre feathered dinosaurs. the Titanosaurs were present in mainland Africa, seeing the gigantic Egyptosaurus wandering across what is now the Nile River Delta. One species, Reptile, even showed up in Madagascar. Europe has its own representatives too, in the form of the 12-meter-long Hypsilosaurus, whilst North America boasts one of the largest titanosaurs outside South America, the gigantic Alamosaurus, who at over 20 meters in length would have shared the dramatic landscapes of Hell Creek with Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops horridus. Titanosaurs also branched out into all sorts of bizarre shapes, sizes, forms, and functions. While all of them retain the bulky body, balanced out by a long neck and longer tail, some of them went down very distinct evolutionary paths. Some, such as the famous Saltosaurus from Maastrichtian Argentina, were armored, almost like an ankylosaur. Hardened scutes along the back of the animal protected it from predation. Some, such as Ankylosaurus, took it a step further, with short, broad, defensive spike-like structures on its back. While basal titanosaurs such as Argentinosaurus were absolutely gigantic, some of them were not so large. One of the smallest genera was Magyarosaurus, known from Hateg Island in what is now Romania. At only 6 meters long when fully grown, this relatively little titanosaur would have fallen victim to Hatzegopteryx, and as dark a pterosaur, the size of a modern giraffe. All in all, the titanosaurs were an incredibly successful group of sauropods, and were the most common group of sauropods towards the end of the Cretaceous period. The last ones, creatures such as the North American Alamosaurus, were still around when the end Cretaceous extinction event took place, and would have witnessed the destruction of the dinosaurs firsthand. It is a mind-bending thought to consider that, just over 90 million years ago, Argentinosaurus was roaming our world. Today, the closest creatures we have in form and function to these unthinkable giants are the mammalian megafauna of Africa. Creatures that, while beautiful and spectacular in their own right, have not been able to grow as massive as their reptilian predecessors due to their energy-dependent lifestyles. It is surely a wonder to think about groups of these titans wandering across the plains and valleys of Cretaceous Argentina. And to witness one would surely have been one of the most amazing sights in natural history. As we continue to learn about these animals, it would seem that even more wonder and mystery seems to pour out of the rocks with the bones. What else could be waiting there, below the surface of the sandstones of Argentina? Fishing Clash are offering you a welcome bonus when you sign up for free using my link, or by scanning the QR code you can see on the screen.